Thanks to each of you who have joined me for the entire year, which is designed to be watched in sequence. I'm Dane Rose, and in this week 49, I want to talk about an approach that's pretty exciting for me personally, and works very well mathematically. And here's the paradigm. Each of us exist as a probability field first, and then we exist as an actuality field second. So to step back a little bit and look at the probability field that I was just in, it was playing darts with my girlfriend, writing a chapter in my book, sitting and reflecting on what I wanted to do, looking at probabilities. Do I want to watch a movie? Do I want to share it with a girlfriend? What platform? It's a probability field. Do I want to get in my hot tub? And then there's the possibility field, which is much bigger, which, you can get on a plane, go here, go there. There's the possibility field, there's the probability field, there's the actual field. Now, what we're going to play with here is probabilities. Now, the reason that the probability field is so important is that we actually exist in that probability field at multiple points on a continuum, on all levels. And what I mean by that is that if you take your body right now and it's watching a video, and you take the exact same body at the exact same moment and go into a yoga pose, you experience a different aspect of your body. Now, that was there in the probability field. That you access doing yoga is immediately accessible in the probability field. But you only experience it when you choose that probability. Now, it's got to be probable for you to choose it, meaning if you have no hot tub, there's no probability of taking a quick hot tub in the next 10 minutes. If there is no TV, there's no probability of watching a movie. If there's no phone connection, there's no probability of contacting a girlfriend. So the probability field is created by taking actions that give us options. Buying a hot tub, buying a telephone, buying a TV. Those are now in the probability field. And one of the things that I find very interesting is that in addition to, choices like that, we have different choices of people to spend time with. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but I notice that I'm a different person and I have different experiences depending on who I'm with and in what context. So this is part of the probability field. And so there's a context in which I'm laughing uproariously, but this is not it. The actual choice to do this video is not a choice to access laughter. There's a probability field where my same body, which has aching shoulders right now, is feeling much more relaxed. And in that probability field, I'm taking a massage. And the exact same me is experiencing deep relaxation. But I'm not that me. I'm here. There's a similar situation or probability field with a painting. which is that if you create or purchase an object of art, let's just take this. There's a probability field. Like, this looks pretty dinky and small to me in this context. But what could I do? Like, it has a probability field. For example, if I put it on a nice polished stone piece right here, and then a larger stone piece here, and then put a little bit of a light on it in a spacious area, its probability, that's kind of the high end of this probability for display. You know, if that would really signify that this was something. And its actuality is, you know, relatively insignificant. I didn't notice it until I looked around for an object, and then kind of vaguely remembered where I'd purchased it in Thailand, and so it doesn't have a lot of significance in the probability field that or in the actual choice that I've done within its probability field. The same is true with with a person. And this is one of the fun things about traveling sometimes is you have a lot more significance with the people you meet than when we're all rushing around in our jobs. And so the point that I first want to make is that who you are in this moment is a function of who you are innately intersecting with the choices that you've made that bring you into this area of your probability field. So the probability field is like a big map. And who you are is a map. There's certain things consistent. You always have a nose, you always look this way, etc. Those are consistent things. But then there's other variables where, with some people you feel so smart and intelligent and kind of like you're just making their day, and then with other people you feel like they'd be much happier if you didn't exist, and in this moment you're a hero, and in this moment you're getting in the way, you're just someone didn't want you to move in front of them in traffic, and that's you in traffic. Nobody wants you to move in. But you arriving at a landlord's house, every landlord wants you to move in. So you've got these different contexts. And part of what I'm getting at in a roundabout way is that one of the most important questions we can ask ourselves is, which context would who we are be most welcome, most allow us to be the person we want to be, most valuable, most appreciated, most fun, most pleasurable. Now, you start to get into tensions as you bring into too many values and call them all most, because the most pleasurable place might be here, the most valuable place might be here, the place where you would be most appreciated. For example, there's probably someone desperately moving house whose movers haven't shown up, and if you show up there, you will be most appreciated helping them move the house. And if you do the same thing, where you're typing away on your phone when your partner's trying to sleep, you will probably not be appreciated at all. It's about context. And the reason that this is an important distinction is that many people try to do something that is impossible, be in a context in which they're not welcome, etc., and be better, to try and change who they are, so that in the context that they're in, they have a different experience than they're experiencing. And I want to suggest that that's the hard way. That, for example, one of the smartest things that Warren Buffett did when Warren Buffett, if you read the book The Snowball Effect, it's a beautiful book, Warren Buffett and the Business of Life, you find an abused, lonely, unhappy, miserable child who, as many people who experience trauma, goes into, dissociates more from their body and parts of the world. And what do? Warren creates a fascination with numbers, with calculations, with ideas. He goes into his mind, a common place for traumatized men in the United States. And as a result of taking that journey, so he's in his house and feeling, scared, neglected, as a result of taking that journey into his mind, now he's welcome there. Now he's got control there in his mind. Now, as a result of going to his mind frequently and the extra lucidity that often happens when people go numb emotionally, there is an extra lucidity, just like when people go deaf, there's more attention to the eyes. When people go blind, the ears tune up. Our brain allocates more attention to those areas that we emphasize. And so going into his mind and the extra lucidity, of course, the sense of numbers blossom. And then in that situation, he becomes a genius with numbers, and then he hates conflict and all that. And so one of the things that he does with Charlie Munger is he says, let's take the high road in business because it's less crowded there, meaning there's less people competing to do the right thing than for the latest scam. So it's a more spacious, less confrontational approach. And so so this is an example of, for example, Warren could have stayed in his body and he could have stayed in that house of abuse. But he didn't. He took exactly who he was, a sensitive child, and reallocated that self first into his mind. And then, of course, he could have gone onto a football field and been a miserable footballer. He could have been a miserable student guidance counselor. He's not a people person. He could have done a number of things absolutely miserably. But he didn't. He picked something where his facility in numbers was highly valuable, meaning this country worships money. And so by being a master of money, he goes from being an unwanted, traumatized child to being a highly prized and respected manager of money. And so this is an example of a probability field. So you've got football, you've got working at Wendy's, you've got working at McDonald's, you've got doing nothing. He could have gone into video games, for example, and got lost there. But no one would ever hire him, in general terms. It's unlikely he would be known as the greatest video gamer of all time, whether he was or not. But he is known as the greatest investor of all time. And so this is a situation where context is everything. And I really want you to understand that the Warren Buffett that doesn't make the choice to go into investing is 96% probable to be a shy, awkward man who nobody knows about and doesn't have any friends. because he's not a very socially oriented person. And so a lot of the interest that comes towards him is because he's so rich, and so that gives an opportunity. People want to network in this country with rich people. So, so this is, in terms of prestige, respect, whatever, he's way up at the top of his probability field. Now, you and I have a probability field. You and I have a probability field. And if we do this, we're going to be shouted at. If we do this, we're going to be, why did you take this career? If you do this, it's, get out of the way. We're trying to pull out here. You just pulled into this driveway. They're trying to leave. It's a one-way driveway. You're in someone's way. You do this. You're just interrupting a friend when they're needing some downtime. But you do this, and you're the most amazing person in the world. Now, I want to suggest that, unfortunately, this world is not very good at spotting. Like a really optimal culture, a really optimal world and environment works something like this. Children are measured in their aptitudes in a wide range of areas, not to fit into the Industrial Revolution, etc., but playfulness, innocence, joy. Their nature is measured in a wide range of aptitudes, talents, and their passions, etc., are measured. And the culture actually helps create roles, or has so many roles, that if you're, for example, primary talent is the ability to infect other people with enthusiasm and joy. Good for a depressive clinic. Good for motivating high achievers who have crashes after sugar burn. It's good. That talent to bring joy and motivation is a key talent. And so, in a really optimal culture, the experience is of being seen and being given a role that's on the high area of your probability. But what we do in our culture is it's completely up to the person to find that probability field. And it often happens more by chance than by design. So here's my challenge for you. I want you to take 3 areas of probability, and I want you to increase probability in 3 areas relating to one thing. So what do I mean? Let's say you're writing a book. Here's how you would play with the probability field. So 1, where could you turn to learn succinct research that could help you write the book in a new way? So that's probability field. Where could you do it? And then answering that question and opening that doorway. So you now have a new portal. So this is probability field number 1. Number 2, exploring that portal to see 5 to 10 different ways that you could respond and increase your well-being. And 3, bringing in a new resource for writing. Now, it could be a quieter keyboard. It could be something that lets that holds your hand so you don't get, carpal tunnel. It could be a dictation type thing, but bring in a new way of writing. Now, these 3 things can have a 10, 20, 30% impact on what comes through in this book, because you've brought in 3 new probabilities that did not exist beforehand. And this has created a potency of opportunity. It has increased the probability field. And then within that, you're likely to pick one action that would not exist if you hadn't done all three. Another example, if you analyze your talents, read, for example, Strength Finder 2.0 and build a sense of your talents. Probability field number 1. Number 2, identify 3 dream positions, meaning that if you were to write a role into the universe, into this world, where you get to play the most potent role you could possibly play, what would that be? And thirdly, what is one specific thing that you could do to put that out there in a larger sense, to play that role? And fourthly, look at obstacles, that might hold you back and undo one of them. And that's it. You can do more, but what I'm talking about is creating new probabilities out of nothing, at least 3 at a time, that cluster around a focus, and then watching possibilities will go into that probability field, and then take one action that's new out of that new probability field and measure the results. How much time and energy did it take to create those probability fields? And then how much time and energy did it take to create the action? So if you do this exercise and it opens something for you, I'd love to hear. And thanks for watching.